I was worried for a bit I wasn't going to be able to do this video because we had no power all day today, but we just got that back on, so want to do my weekly video for you quickly. And I want to focus on eating and food because not only is it related to the Torah portion this week of Shmini, but it's just a big discussion in general and always, and you basically can't escape it. And I think everybody has their own issues with food, if it is issues with not eating enough, issues with eating too much, issues with healthy eating or sticking to the right foods. It's a nonstop discussion that's always going on. And the very well-known and famous expression, you are what you eat, as much as that seems to be a recent invention, is actually attributed to Nachmanides, the Ramban, so the medieval scholar. So this is something that is part of our history as a people and as us as individuals. The very common line, hi guys, Yisrael and Mendy, they tried to kill us, we won, let's eat, right? Like, so eating is so much a part of all cultures, and especially Jewish culture. We just finished Purim, where we have our Hamantashen, and we're heading into Pesach, where we have all of our special foods, and every holiday seems to be integrally connected to food. And there really is this concept, you are what you eat. So it's in this week's Torah portion of Shmini that the laws of kosher are discussed. And kosher in general is, it's always described as the dietary restrictions or laws involving what we are allowed to eat and what we're not allowed to eat. And what's interesting about it is it shares the same root as the word kishronot, which are talents and abilities. And this idea that in all of the different types of foods, and this is something I discussed a few weeks back when I was talking about the prohibition against mixing milk and meat, but is that, you really have the concept of individuality within unity, being able to use your unique talents and abilities and yet being part of that greater whole. So no matter where you go in the world, no matter where you travel, no matter what kind of kosher food it may be, there are going to be certain commonalities that bind it all together while still celebrating its uniqueness. But so being that I already discussed milk and meat, what I want to just talk about briefly now is the way that it is described what we're allowed to eat in terms of the sea animals. And it says that fish have to have fins and scales. And what's interesting about that, hello, Yaakov, so exciting. What's really interesting about that is that all fish have fins. It's kind of what makes a fish a fish. And yet it doesn't say then that a kosher fish needs to have scales, which would be something that not all fish have, and that would then differentiate kosher fish from non-kosher fish. But it says that fish need to have both fins and scales. And this is really the idea that ambition has to be coupled with integrity. Fins are what allow the fish to move, to get from one place to the other. And yet when it comes to, swimming in the sea, even a dead fish will swim with the current, right? It will just kind of float along. You won't even be able to differentiate the dead fish from the live fish. How do you know a fish is alive? Is that it's able to swim against the current. And obviously when we speak about currents, take that outside of the context of the water. We have current events. We have the current tides going on in the world around us. Can you swim against the current? Can you push away from the direction that the water may be flowing? And when you can do that, that proves you're alive. And that's the use of the fins. The scales, however, allow the fish to go from side to side. And they're also like a protective armor. And this is the idea that's not just the end goal. The process counts. How you get there, how you accomplish that end goal, what you do along the way, how you treat everybody else in the process to achieve what you're after, that is as important, if not more important, than your end destination. So if you're simply, at all costs going after what you're after, and you're really not doing the right thing along the way, there's an issue, there's a problem. So in order for something to be kosher, right, it has to both have the scales, which is really the idea of that integrity, which allows us to go side to side to ensure that everything along the way is proper as we're also aiming forward. And yet we also have to have that ambition. We have to have that goal. So it's not good enough to be constantly doubting ourselves and checking everything alongside and not moving forward. We need the fins. We need the destination, which is why it says that the fish has to have both fins and scales. And yet we have to ensure that our ambition be coupled with that integrity. So with that idea, it's just one of the ideas of kosher. I actually have an entire series. Shmini means 8. And I have 8 lessons about like the psychological understanding of keeping kosher on our website, interinclusion.org. And it's called Food for Thought and Thought for Food. And it goes through all of the different elements of kosher eating. So with that, you should have a great Shabbos. Oh, Inval, yay! You were on last week and I didn't get to connect you. And Leah, hello. So have a great Shabbos, and I will be back on. I'm actually away next Shabbos. I'm speaking for anybody in the area. I'm speaking for Young Israel of White Plains in New York. But I will try to do the video, I will try, on Thursday, or if not, I guess it will be done from White Plains. Okay, good Shabbos. Jessica.